You recording it? Put it on the screen. What is going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back with a big live stream, a massive one. It's the final weekend of the season. It's do or die.
Scrap that. This is what are you doing? This is my job to intro the show first and foremost. Second of all,
you weren't here.
Second of all, forget all what's going on this weekend. It's this guy's birthday today. Everyone give him a happy birthday in the live chat. 22nd of May. Last year on his birthday, we were celebrating a win in Bilbao.
What?
This weekend, we're going to be celebrating, hopefully, survival, man.
I'm breathing a huge sigh of relief for my birthday. That's what the doctor ordered. That's what I want for my birthday. Just no drama. Just no bad energy, just survival, and I want Premier League status secured. That's all I want. Good things have happened on my birthday. Celebrating Bilbao, we secured top 4 with Sonny getting the golden boot on my birthday a few years ago. So let's hope this birthday weekend will be another memorable one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It can't be any polar opposites, can it be? From winning a trophy, a European trophy in Bilbao, to a relegation threatened last day of the season. Mad.
This is our reality. This is our reality. This is where we are. And every week, I can't believe we have to talk about it, and we're still not safe going to the final day. We're the big story going into this final game of the season. All eyes are going to be on Tottenham. The pressure's going to be ramped up. So let's hope we rise to it.
Exactly. I heard some people saying, all I want is for Spurs to be playing for something last day of the season. Well, don't think we envisage this one. Don't think we envisage this. But
Thank you for all the messages, by the way. I'm reading the chat. Big up to everyone in the live chat. We have a lot going on today, though. A lot to talk about. I've turned up. There are some other people who haven't turned up for the last game of the season, which we'll get into.
But look, let's get into it, because we've got an action-packed live stream to bring you guys today. Yeah, sorry we're late. Sim was just finishing his cake. But
that's the rustle of the room is the same.
Yeah. Let's start off with a Tottenham update. And the first thing we're going to get into is the team news going into the game this weekend. And the big news is obviously Dominic Solanke. Roberto De Zerbi has confirmed Dominic Solanke is fit to play against Everton. It's just a matter of when, if he starts or not. Do you think he starts?
I would be shocked if he started, considering he wasn't fit enough to even be on the bench on Monday night. To go from that, usually you see a bit of a progression, don't you? You see a few minutes, then you're ready to start. So I would be very shocked if Solanke starts. But as we said, as we've been saying for weeks and weeks, we're running that front three into the ground, and especially Richarlison, who's had his injury problems, who's someone, he looks dead off the 60th minute. That's been the case for the past few weeks. So Solanke being fit will definitely help, and hopefully he can come on whether we need a goal or whether we need to shut off the game. I think he'll be a massive help, and hopefully it means that front three won't lose as much energy as they have been doing over the past few weeks. But I don't think he'll start. I would be really, really shocked. I think he's just trying to leave it a bit ambiguous to keep Everton guessing a bit.
Yeah, I mean, if he starts or not, it's still something big for us, because we've got options off the bench, or more options off the bench. So whether he starts or not isn't the biggest deal for me, but at least we've got someone to call on in the latter stages of the game.
Yeah, that's just what we haven't had. And we De Zerbi's been saying we're just lacking rotation options. We just have to deal with what we've got. And I know it's the last day, and it's not exactly like groundbreaking, but every little helps right now. We need all hands on deck.
All the help we can get. Exactly. Yeah. Regarding James Maddison, he said that James Maddison is available. It's always tough to decide before the game how many minutes he can play. Of course, he's a different player, a top player for us, but we have to analyse and the physical condition in this Italian weather. It is bloody boiling today, by the way.
Absolutely.
So how many minutes do you reckon James gets in this game?
Well, he got how many against Chelsea? 20? 15, 20. So he came on 85th against Leeds. I think it was 75th in the end, wasn't it? Against Chelsea. So I'm expecting 65th.
Any chance he can spring a surprise and start him?
Judging by what he said before, no. Although he was asked about in the press conference, which we'll get into, about, the options he's got on the forward line, if one is not going to play. He did mention, Maddison maybe off the left and Tell off the right. So maybe he's kind of thinking about it. But he said it plain as day against Chelsea. The doctors told me he can't start. He's saying he can't start. Maddison was saying, look, it's frustrating for me, but I've got to do what's right for my body and all that kind of stuff. So I don't think he's ready to start and play 90 minutes. And I don't know, would you rather him play with the risk of having to be taken off, or would you rather him be on the bench and if we need him, we bring him on? I think that's just probably the best solution, because I'd rather end the game with him.
It'd be great if we can get him on like at half time for the second half. That would be great. Look, I don't want to risk further injury to Maddison, but it is like literally the biggest game in our history. So yeah, it's an interesting one and it's a difficult one to weigh up. I would say start him on the bench and bring him on at half time or with half an hour to go, something like that. On Vicario, he was asked the question, has Vicario trained enough? Is he up to speed? Is he going to come in instead of Kinski? And he gave nothing away. De Zerbi was quite literally. He's like, you're asking me too much.
Yeah. I don't know what that implies, though. Obviously, he gave a bit more of a detailed answer last week, which gave the impression that Kinski was going to start. And obviously, Kinski did start. But obviously, Vicario's had a full week of training now, so you would think he's maybe more in a position to play. And now he's saying, you ask too much. Is that an implication that maybe he's going to surprise people and start Vicario? Kinski obviously didn't cover himself in that much glory against Chelsea, but I wouldn't say he's massively at fault for anything. For me, you just don't rock the boat right now. I know he didn't... I know it's hard to say bring Vicario in would rock the boat, but Kinski's done well. I think our defence has looked a lot better. And even against Chelsea, it wasn't like we conceded loads of chances. I know he might have felt like against Enzo's shot, could he have done a bit better? Maybe you could say, was his positioning correct? He wasn't able to get over to that shot. Wasn't the best attempt, but then again, it was a great strike.
If you're criticising him for that goal, it's very harsh.
It is harsh. It's not a mistake, but does Vicario save it? Maybe. I don't know. Who knows? It's tough to say. But I don't think I think we've got a settled back line at the moment. Try and keep it the same till the end of the season.
Agreed. So that's the team news. So one player is back, and that is Dominic Solanke I think it will be Vicario on the bench. There has been some news with Sky Sports yesterday. They claim that Sebastian Kehl is expected now to join Tottenham Hotspur as new sporting director if Premier League safety is confirmed. I mean, if you're coming in to be as a sporting director role, surely you come in regardless, you know what I mean? Like,
if you believe in the project, if you believe in the club, I like to think regardless of whether in the Championship or not, why should that make a difference? You're here to build the club and move us forward with smart decision making in the transfer window. Understand if we're in the Championship, it makes your job harder, and it means that we're probably shopping in a different kind of pool of players than we would be if we stayed up. But still, you're coming to oversee the whole footballing operations of a football club. You're not here as a short-term kind of thing to get us, if you sign a player to play over a certain amount of time, you're signing them to achieve certain goals in the short term for a lot of them. Obviously, we have signed young players, but a sporting director, you're coming to imprint a project on the club on footballing kind of perspective, and I don't see why that should make a major difference whether we stay up or not. Your job remit, so that does surprise me. said why as well, who's that ITK on X said he isn't our first choice. That does worry me as well, that we've gone for other targets and we've ended up with him.
Freeman was the first choice.
So we'll see. He hasn't also done apparently his job at Dortmund has been heavily scrutinised, so whether that's something you look at and think, it's something to get excited about, but it's hard to really judge it until we see him working in action for Tottenham, isn't it? So I don't want to sit here and say this guy's a bum and he's rubbish. I don't really know that for a fact, but judging by the evidence leading to this appointment, doesn't seem like one that we're particularly excited about as a club, and doesn't get me too excited.
Yeah, the only way I get behind this if it is Roberto De Zerbi that wants to work with him. If Roberto wants to work with him, then I'm all for it. But it remains to be seen, doesn't it? We don't know.
When he's got Johan Lang in meetings, I think anyone probably seems like a great appointment.
But now he's going to have both.
Yeah, true. We'll see how that works out.
Djed Spence. Let's talk about Djed Spence now, because it's a great day for Djed, as he's been called up to the England squad for the World Cup. I was very surprised when I saw this, Djed being called up. He hasn't played much football, has he, since Roberto De Zerbi has come in. He's coming in to fill in at left back, or to be the backup left back for Nico O'Reilly. Thomas Tuchel was really talking him up in the press conference, saying he's special, he's unique, he's the fastest player in the squad. I mean, I thought they were going to go for Lewis Hall, man. I think Lewis Hall has been brilliant this season, and he's played consistently for the first team throughout. So are you surprised that they called up Djed?
I am, to be honest, especially given the news that we heard he's got a fractured jaw.
Yeah, David Ornstein did confirm that. Broken jaw, but he is expected to be in the squad this weekend. Correct.
So he is available, but, given that a player suffering that kind of injury does, let's say he has to go in, I don't know how long it's going to affect him. Obviously, I'm trying to think back to Mawani, who had kind of a low-grade fracture on his jaw when against Man United. He was actually back and playing available. I'm trying to remember how long he wore that mask for. It must have been a few weeks. But
he can play, so it's
he
not
played. No,
detriment.
the thing is, you can play, but the problem I have is you're playing with a fractured jaw. Now, let's say there's a 50-50, a ball is about head height, and you've got to put your head in where it hurts. Do you think twice if you've got a fractured jaw or not? I'm not saying that he can't pass the ball as well as he can, or he can't dribble as well as he can, or he can't even defend as well as he can. But I'm talking about those little moments in games where, a 50-50 at the back post, and you've got to fight tooth and nail to win that header. Last minute of the game, you've got someone, battling for you in the air. I'm not saying he will do it on purpose, but unconsciously, if you've got a fractured jaw and you're playing with that, and you risk further injuring it if you have a clash of heads or something, right? Does that make you think twice, right, in those situations? I'm not saying for sure it will, but it could. And that's the worry I would have if I was
not in a World Cup.
Tuchel. Any situation, you're playing with a fractured jaw. I think if it's over a 38-game period, right, and it will heal, and obviously if you're calling up someone for a season, it's a bit different, but for a short space of time, and if he's playing with it, that's got to be a bit of a concern. Also, has he deserved it? Has he deserved it for this season? I don't think he's had a particularly great season, so I think he is fairly fortunate to be playing with this, so to be called up given his form. I don't think he's been in the best of form for Tottenham.
He's not played.
I know, but when he has played, I don't think he's been particularly impressive. Like last season, I thought he was much better than this season. Obviously,
when he's played under Zerbi, he's played in the forward line. He hasn't even played at left back too much.
Well, he started at left back. Was it Wolves? He started that one game. He was all right. I guess under De Zerbi, it's a bit different. But I'm saying over the general season, it's not exactly been great when he's played. But Tuchel said he's obviously taken his England form into account, and he has been good for England. You got to say, when he's played for England, he's been impressive. And Tuchel, I heard his long response to what he was saying about Spence, about he's the fastest player in the squad. He's versatile. He also adds something in the squad that we don't have, which is defenders who love to defend, who are very good at one-on-one defending and are very hard to beat. And that is all true about Djed Spence. So I'm guessing maybe he's thinking, look, if I'm if I'm in the knockout round or even a group game and I'm looking to see out a game, and Djed Spence is a brilliant defender to bring on and just help us see out games and make sure that wingers aren't getting past their man and we can get over the line in certain situations. So I get that, and that's fine, and that's fair. But if I'm Lewis Hall, he's had a much better season than him, and he would obviously be a natural replacement for a backup left back. Lewis Skelly is also quite versatile. I know he hasn't had a great season either, but he's quite versatile. He can play different scenarios. So if I'm those players, I might be a bit disappointed. But also,
Lewis Hall should be the most disappointed in my opinion.
Yeah. Also, those players though don't give Tuchel what he is saying Djed Spence gives them. So, look, congratulations to him. I'm delighted for him. Cast your mind back to 18 months ago. If I would have told you Djed Spence would be going to the World Cup for England, you'd be like, what are you on about? Like, no chance.
I mean, if you would have said that to me a week ago, I would have said, what are you on about?
Yeah,
but yeah, especially 18 months ago.
Yeah. There was Ornstein even said a few days ago that Spence wouldn't be making it. So it has caused a bit of surprise. But he hasn't let Tuchel down, and we've seen that with other managers and other international roles, that sometimes they just have these trusted players. And he said, look, against Uruguay, he actually said he had a chat with Spence. He said, you haven't been playing great for Spurs. You're not playing that much for Spurs. You have to kind of prove yourself for this international break that I can trust you. And you're going to have to unfortunately, even though you've never let me down, you're going to have to reprove yourself. And he said he had a brilliant performance against Uruguay. And he proved to me that I can just call upon him and he could be a trusted player. So it's earned him a spot.
Yeah, it's mad. He said he made his decision then after that game.
Yeah.
I do feel for Lewis Hall, but look, all I care about is the Spurs players, to be honest, and I'm delighted that Djed Spence is going. We've got someone that we can get behind in the World Cup. Too many gooners in that squad, to be honest.
Exactly.
So I'm loving that Djed Spence is part of the squad and someone to keep a close eye on during the England World Cup games. It was a weird squad from Thomas Tuchel, though. Like, the amount of talent that's been left out of, like, Cole Palmer, Phil Foden, Morgan Gibbs-White. I think, like, John Stones is very lucky to go.
Yeah, Maguire maybe a bit unlucky.
Yeah, I think Stones is very lucky to go ahead of Maguire. I think it's strange. Even Ivan Toney has not been called up once by Thomas Tuchel, and suddenly he's in the World Cup squad. I just don't understand some of the decisions. Jordan Henderson going as well. I mean,
what I would say is he's doing something that Southgate didn't, which is Southgate shoehorned all these players in where maybe there wasn't natural spots for them. So he had Bellingham, who he knows he was going to be his number one, and then he shoehorned in Palmer, Foden. I mean, obviously Eze has been called up with this one, but I'm saying he's shoehorned in lots of different number 10s into the squad. And then once the lineup comes in, he's like, well, I can't leave out Foden. I can't leave out this one. And even though maybe it doesn't not a natural fit for the 11, he's trying to shoehorn in so many good players because they're so great. What Tuchel has just been, he's stripped all that away and just said, look, who are the best players in each position? And the top two players in each position who are natural fits for those positions, I'm going to take. So even if that means that Foden's missing out for Madueke because Madueke is more of a natural winger, that's what he's done. And he's looked at the left wing position and he said, I'm going to take Gordon and I'm going to take Rashford because those are the two natural left wingers I'm going to bring. And I'm going to take Madueke and Saka because those are natural wingers. I'm not going to take Foden because I'm taking Eze and I'm taking Bellingham and I'm taking Rodgers. And those are my in-form number 10s. And Foden just hasn't been in as good form. Palmer is struggling with an injury. He's not in as good form.
Morgan Gibbs-White, mate. Morgan Gibbs-White is up for Player of the Year. You know,
he is, but
how has he missed out?
Because
isn't he more on form than any of those 10s?
But who's a better player, Rodgers or him?
You just said he's picking his most informed players. Like, I think
in the natural positions, I'm talking about. Obviously, it's a mix of quality as well.
Do you not think Morgan Gibbs-White deserves to go over Eze?
I would say so. To be fair, I would say he deserves to go over Eze. But Eze's been in other squads, so he's made. I agree with that.
So is Gibbs-White.
Yeah. But who's a better number 10, Eze or Gibbs-White?
I think currently, right now, I think there's not much in it in terms of quality of the player. In my opinion.
Remember, Gibbs-White is just he's on a hot form right now in these last few months, which obviously can't be discounted. But
he also had a fantastic season last year.
Yeah, but so did Eze.
Yeah,
Carrying Palace.
I think Eze's been decent this season, but I don't think he's been on the level of Morgan Gibbs-White.
But I'm saying he is taking players in their natural position. So he's not considering Palmer and Foden as wingers. So they're not getting in as part of those options. What he's saying is if you're going to get in, you're going to have to beat my number 10s. And I'm only taking 3 of them. And Bellingham's in there, who, to be fair, hasn't had a great season. He's been injured. So he's maybe a bit lucky. He's Rodgers. You know, he's been phenomenal. So he has to be there. And then he's taking Eze over Palmer, Gibbs-White and Foden. My point is, okay, Gibbs-White is lucky to miss out because of maybe he's in great form right now. But there's only one spot for those 4 players I'm talking about. And maybe because Eze's been part of a group which has won a trophy. And
he can also play on the wing as well.
And he can play on the wing. It's a bit more versatile. Maybe he's gone with that. But I think I agree. Obviously, it's not nice to see a squad without Foden and Palmer and Gibbs White.
I don't have too many problems with Foden and Palmer because I think they've both had poor seasons. I don't think actually Foden and Palmer both deserve to get in off the seasons they've had.
Yeah,
I more feel for Morgan Gibbs White, players like Adam Wharton. Would you have taken Adam Wharton over Jordan Henderson? I mean,
100%.
I would have done that.
I would have done that. Yeah, but again, he wanted that bit of know-how and experience. I guess Henderson brings that. If Henderson isn't in there, are we lacking that a bit in the England squad? Maybe you're thinking because Maguire's already been left out. So you just need someone in the dressing room who knows how it is to be a leader, and maybe we're lacking those leaders without him.
What do you feel about Ivan Toney going? Like, is there another striker you would have preferred ahead of him? Would you have taken like a Dominic Calvert-Lewin or, I mean, Solanke? You can't take Solanke, I guess, but who else is there? What other strikers is there?
I think it's the right thing. I'll tell you why. Because Calvert-Lewin obviously is great for Leeds, but I just don't think he's that great, if I'm being perfectly honest. Welbeck's had a great season, but again, when I look at Toney, he is someone who you can bring on late in games, who's an big aerial threat. And one key thing is, if we do go to a penalty shootout, he's brilliant at penalties. He's calm at penalties. Who would you trust in a penalty shootout? Welbeck, Calvert-Lewin, or Toney?
Toney, 100%.
And so we've already got Kane and Watkins, who are probably going to fill the most of playing time up front anyway. If you've got a third man there, you might as well take someone like Toney, who you can trust in that position.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Also, when you're talking about aerial ability, Dominic Calvert-Lewin does bring that, but Toney does have ice running through his veins, doesn't he, in those kind of situations? So, yeah, look, I kind of agree with you there. I mean, Dan Burn was taken as well. I mean, I think that's crazy. I do think there are some strange decisions there, but I agree with what you're saying that I like the fact that he's been able to leave out these kind of big names that are not on form, where Southgate wasn't able to do that.
Trent, another one who hasn't had a great season. He's been left out, which obviously he left him out in March. And I said it's because he's not going to take him, and he hasn't taken him, which I think is fair. I think Trent just hasn't been good for Real Madrid. And I would have backed someone like Tuchel to get the best out of him, but Reece James has been better than him this season. But, you know, when he's missing out to someone like Tino Livramento, if I'm Trent, I'm like, I've got much more ability than him. But the reality is he's been off form and he hasn't been trusted by Madrid. Yeah. So
he said players like Alex Scott were very unlucky to miss out. Obviously, he went for Madueke over Jared Bowen, which he spoke about a bit.
Yeah, and
I think that's fair. I think Jared Bowen's been horrific this season. So
yeah, it's not like Madueke. In terms of output, Madueke hasn't been great, but he's gone with him. One player I think maybe is lucky in a way to go is Kobe, because obviously he was missing for the first 6 months under Amorim.
He's played himself into the squad though. He's been brilliant.
He has been great. But when you've got the likes of Scott and Wharton, who have been great over the whole season, Kobe can count himself a bit lucky that he's got that experience in England.
I think he's proved himself in competition last year. I think he was brilliant last tournament.
Exactly, he got played in the final, didn't he? So, and he was quite good. So, I think Tuchel's looking at thinking this guy's got the experience and the big stage. So
just shows you the quality of how many quality players England have. With the amount, look at the amount of stars we've left out. Like I don't think any other country could probably say that, how many stars we've left out.
Yeah, a lot of players, and it's tougher than ever to be getting in this England squad.
At this point, Jarell Quansah has been called up
over Maguire.
I don't know how he's been playing in Leverkusen, but that was a shock to me. But look, that is the England squad and a few surprising selections. Let us know your thoughts on it in the comments section below. Let's move on and let's talk about Cuti Romero, our captain, Cuti Romero. So we spoke about it a couple of days ago, saying he's gone over to Argentina. We were thinking, is he coming back for the game? Is he staying out there for the game? Not a great look regardless. Well, it's been confirmed that he's not going to be coming back for the last game against Everton. Tim Vickery said that Romero will not be at the Spurs relegation shootout against Everton. The defender has opted instead to go and watch his beloved Belgrano in the final against River Plate on Saturday. And the Belgrano president has said that yesterday he was training and I told him he's going to be one who arrives at the World Cup in the best shape. I've seen him. He's in great form. He's going to arrive well rested, ready to join the team at its peak. De Zerbi's been speaking about it. A few Spurs legends have been speaking about the situation. But before we get into those quotes, what's your initial thoughts of Romero going out to Argentina at this moment? Because so much was said about Romero sticking by the team and he's opted to stay at Tottenham in a time of need. But in the biggest time of need, the last game, the biggest game in recent history, he's gone off. He's gone off to Argentina.
No, there's no defending him at this point with that action. I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted that the captain of the football club, knowing how much is riding on Sunday, knowing how much it means to everyone, we need all the support. The club are saying, they're calling for all the fans to support. They're calling for the fans to, get behind the team, welcome the coach in. There's been a massive kind of, there's been a massive, there's been a massive drive to get all the support, for Sunday as much as possible, knowing the magnitude of the consequences of what can happen on Sunday. And I'm sorry, Cuti Romero, I know we'll get into De Zerbi in a sec, but De Zerbi saying, he's gone because of medical issue. He's going to train with the medical staff. He's going to train with the Argentine medical department, and there he's got a World Cup to prepare for, all this kind of stuff. I'm sorry, there's been a whole hullabaloo, as you said last week, about Romero wanted to stay so much with the team that he brought Argentine medical staff over to England to make sure that he could prepare for the World Cup, but also keep supporting the team. And all of a sudden, when it gets to the last game, because it clashes with his boyhood club or whatever, I don't really care about that. For me, he is the captain of the team. He is supposed to be the leader of the team. Maybe he could say something that can inspire the players. Maybe something he points out on the bench, that could help and that could make the difference. De Zerbi said he can't play, so he can't make a difference. I don't buy that. I'm sorry. I think it's utter rubbish. Of course you can make a difference. You are the captain of this football team. All the players look up to you. All the players shut up and listen when you speak. All the players respect you. And when you're acting like that and you're not turning up in our hour of need, in our massive, massive game, that is shameful. I'm sorry. He's done. He was a massive part of why we won that Europa League last season, and that's fine, and that's all well and great. But if you're going to end your time at Tottenham like this, there is no stain removal that can remove the stain that will leave on his time at Tottenham. Will be his lasting memory if and when he goes at the end of his Tottenham career, that he didn't show up when we were battling relegation, we were fighting for our lives, and we need all hands on deck, we need all the support we need, and he fucks off to Argentina to support his local team. He could watch it at home. You may get a few family and friends and watch it at home. Why do you have to be there? We need him here. He's our captain. Our players are we've got a young set of players here. Everyone's injured. Everyone is on their knees at the moment because we've been decimated this whole season. We've been battered and bruised with criticism and losses and results. We need every ounce of energy we can. And if he says something to them at half time, or he says something to them before the game, or even during the game, he's shouting on the touchline because he sees something that maybe the players on the pitch aren't seeing. I'm not saying obviously we're going to win or lose because Cuti Romero is there, but to say he can't make a difference when he's the captain of the team, of course he can make a difference. When Ronaldo went off in the 2016 Euro final, he was like he was like an assistant manager. We've seen Romero shouting on the touchline and encouraging his teammates. We need him. We need him on Sunday to be there as captain of the team, as the representative of Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. It is a massive, massive game. If we go down, the consequences, the ramifications are absolutely humongous. We're talking about the future of Tottenham Hotspur, and he has said, time and time again how much he loves the team and how much he loves Tottenham. It's a beautiful club, and they can be fine for big things. And I've always believed he's believing that. But this action, there's no excuse for it. There's no defending it. He clearly doesn't give a shit, and that's the message he is sending out when he goes to Argentina for this game. And I'm sorry, he is leaving the club through the back door, and he should be stripped of the captaincy immediately if this is how he's going to act. Maybe he doesn't think it's a big deal. Maybe he thinks, look, I'm injured, I can't affect things, so I'm just going to go and support my local team in their fight for their league title because that is something that's meant a lot to me in childhood. But at the end of the day, he's not just any other player. He is our captain. He is the one who should be leading that team out there. We've got a potential lap of honour at the end of the season for all the fans to show their appreciation. He's not going to be there for that. He doesn't care about that. He doesn't care about showing support for all his teammates we all should be going into battle together, and we're not, because he's gone.
Mm-hmm. How many times do I have to say it? I've said it time and time again this season. He doesn't have the leadership traits, the captain material. He's not captain material, and he should be holding himself to a higher standard than he does with everyone else. You know, we've had so many arguments about this season. You know, do you think Sonny would do this? Like, if Sonny was injured for the last few games of the season and his boyhood club in Korea or wherever it may be are playing in a cup final, do you think he would leave the team out on their legs like that? No chance. Sonny is the epitome of a leader. You know, he would never leave Tottenham in the lurch. But Romero just has, and he has done many times with the stupid decisions that he's done this season as well. Like, he's not had a great season. He's not had a great season, and he's supposed to be the captain of the team. He's made a whole song and dance about sticking with the team, and he hasn't stuck with the team. He hasn't. He's gone. So I don't know what more to say about Romero. I've criticised him so much this season, and this is probably the last time we're going to criticise him because we're not going to see him again after this. Like, he should actually be staying just to say sorry and thank the fans after the game, if not anything else. You know what I mean? I don't think we're ever going to see him in a Spurs shirt again. This is the last we're going to see of him. He's probably never going to step foot in Tottenham ever again after he's got on a flight now. So
that's probably what his thought process is. His thought process is, I ain't going to be playing for them next season. I'm not the future of this football club, and I don't want to miss the chance to be at the ground if my boyhood club wins the league and the celebrations in Argentina and all that kind of stuff. That is his priority. He's being absolutely 100% selfish. He's thinking, if I miss that opportunity of supporting and celebrating this potential title win at the expense of being there for a football club I'm not going to be at next season, what am I going to regret? Am I going to regret supporting my team and being the captain and leading as my team stay up, or am I going to regret missing the chance to celebrate what could be a historic day for my childhood football team? And he's chosen the latter. And that's because it's all about him, what he's feeling, what he wants, what he thinks he's going to miss more, instead of thinking what the team needs and what the club needs. Get him gone.
I've said it time and time again, mate. This guy, he's more trouble than he's worth. He can be an unbelievable defender on his day. He really can. But he's way too much trouble than he's worth. So, look, we're going to see the back of him. Part of me is happy to see the back of him. And after this, you know, you go do one. Not sticking by us at a time of need of this, the biggest game in the club history, and that so much relies on the future. Whatever, mate. With De Zerbi, the way he was speaking, I did feel a sense of disappointment in the way that he was speaking. And also he was speaking about Mickey van der Ven and called him the best defender in the Premier League. I thought that was a bit of a shot at Romero as well.
He did clarify, said, I meant best left side.
Yeah, he did say that, to be fair. But with De Zerbi, he was saying that he spoke with the medical staff together. They decided to go to Argentina to complete the rehab with the Argentinian medical team. We spoke last week. With me, he always showed his desire to stay with us. He is injured. I'm not stupid. If I understand there is any player who thinks of themselves before the club, I can't be the same. Roberto. But with Cuti Romero, I can't say nothing, because with me, he's always been correct from when he started until now. He was asked whether he understands why fans are disappointed and angry at Romero, and he said 100%. Not all leaders are the same. Ben Davis spoke with me and asked with me to stay with us today. He wants to stay with the team at the lodge in the hotel with his teammates, but Romero is preparing for the World Cup. And De Zerbi says as well that he doesn't know whether Romero will play for Tottenham again. I don't think De Zerbi's delighted with Romero, with the situation. Obviously, he didn't want to give too much away in the press conference, but the way he was speaking, I just felt like he was very disappointed in the actions of Romero.
Well, he started kind of defending him, and then there was one quote because it doesn't quite, when you read it out, it's not as the same as when you watch it. When you watch it, there's one bit where Ali Gold, because he kind of did that answer about Ben Davis, and he said, but he then kind of asked him again, but can you understand the disappointment in the fans? And he just said 100% and looked him right straight in the eye. But he then stopped after that. He didn't elaborate. He just said 100%, with a bit of a, you could see there's a bit of something behind his eye, a bit of anger or disappointment. So for me, it says enough what De Zerbi's saying when he says not all leaders are the same. I think that says enough as well. And he's bringing up Ben Davies for a reason. Because Ben Davies is someone who's been here for a long time, who's loyal to the club, who wants the best for Tottenham, and who's someone who's like almost part of the furniture at the moment. And he's kind of comparing him to what Romero's doing, which is going off to Argentina. Obviously, we know Ben Davies can't play. We know that he's also unavailable, but he's going to be there and be part of the team. It gives off the impression when Romero goes off to Argentina, he just doesn't care what our result is. He doesn't care if we go up or go down, because maybe he ain't going to be there, or because he cares more about this Argentina game. That's more where his priorities lie. And when you're the captain of the team, it's disgusting.
Yeah. Teddy Sheringham piped up about it as well, and he says, the biggest game in the history of the club, this is going to be one nervy game, and when your captain is not there, that does not set a good example for everyone else. That is naughty. That is loose from wherever, letting him do what he wants to do. How does he even go about that? Is it okay if I go back to Argentina because my boyhood club are playing an important game? What? Don't even ask that question. I need you alongside your teammates in the dressing room to give them some support. I can't believe he's asked that question, and I can't believe he's been allowed to go. That sets the precedent, that does. So Teddy's showing him not holding back.
100%. But for me, if he's even asking it, let him go. Because if that's where his head's at,
100%.
Fine.
100%. And Glenn Hoddle says, it sums up his selfishness. He can't be a captain and act like that. If it was for his family or something like that, then fine. But if it's true that he's going back to watch a football match, then let him stay in Argentina and get as much money for him as possible. When I think back to the captains I played for and the great captains who went before me, the pride that you have in being a captain of Tottenham, wow, it's absolutely scandalous. It sums up his character. He's saying, let's all pull together. He's just shown his true colours. Incredible decision. Call himself a captain. And I agree with every word that these guys are saying, mate. I don't think this guy's been a good captain throughout his time at Tottenham. He can say what he wants on social media and try to pull everyone together and say the right words to get the fans on side and everything like that. But he shows his true colours time and time again. This time, like he's literally, Thomas Frank has said to him, you need to up your standards after a 4-1 loss, and he comes to training late the next day. Like, what sort of a leader is that? This was just shown everything. This has shown everything.
Yeah, I've defended him all season. I've been the one to say, look, it's the circumstances, it's this, is that. I can't defend this. There's nothing, there's no reason at all. Especially when he's made a big kind of media push to say what a great captain I've been since I've injured. I'm staying with the team. I'm helping the team. I'm supporting the team. I'm part of the team. I even brought a medical staff from Argentina to make sure I stay with the team. And then he goes and does that literally a few days later.
He's not a captain. He's not a captain. And look, happy to see the back of him. Let him go. Let him get on with his career. We can move forward with Luka Vuskovic, who is going to be better than Cuti Romero anyway. So we're better off without him. So that is that about Cuti Romero. Now it is time to focus on the game. Massive, massive game this weekend, people. We know the situation going into it. Tottenham against Everton. A draw is all we need. Well, we might not even need a draw, but let's not even think about that, because look, if West Ham don't win, then it doesn't even matter what happens at Tottenham, but we can't even rely on that. We need to think of ourselves. We need to get that draw minimum, and we need to stay in this division. We're going to get into our predicted lineup first and foremost. So in terms of team news, what have we got?
So Solanke is fit and available. It's just whether he starts or not is the question, which is good news for us. We'll have to make a decision on him or Richarlison. Maddison is available to play some minutes. Other than that, as Djed Spence, he's got a fractured jaw, but he is available to play, and we'll be playing with a mask. And I think that's it. There's no other injury news, new injury news, apart from obviously long-term absentees, Simmons, Kulusevski. He actually mentioned Decky. He should be back with the team, but he doesn't think he'll be able to play. Also, we know Kudus is going to be out for the foreseeable. Vicario is available. We have to make a decision whether to start him or not. Who else is unavailable? Yeah, that's it. Romero, we know, is unavailable. And that's it. Wodebear.
All right. 4-2-3-1 as per usual. There is actually a conversation to be had about the goalkeeper, Kinski or Vicario. De Zerbi was giving nothing away in the press conference. but I think he's going to stick with Kinski. I did feel like if relegation was secure at Stamford Bridge, he might have gone with Vicario for the last game, but I think he's going to stick with Kinski.
Yeah, I think so. His response to who's he going to start is you want to know too much. So is that implying maybe there's going to be a change in the offing or sort of surprise there? Because he's keeping his cards very close to his chest, but I don't think he will. I think I know Vicario is a week, recovered from that hernia even more, so he's maybe more ready to play. But with one game left, with so much riding on it, I think changing the team and changing the backline at this late stage, not to say that it's not like the players don't know Vicario and how he plays, but I think Kinski's in good form, so I think leave it as it is. I think he will. Right
back, Pedro Porro, obviously, he's been good under De Zerbi so far. Not the greatest performance at Stamford Bridge. I thought, he left a bit of a gaping hole at that right back spot, but maybe as well, Paulinho should have been dropping back into that position. So it's hard to make a real judgment on it, but we're going to need him at his fighting best in this game.
Yeah, I think he's obviously not going to try and make as many changes as possible. And Porro's been one of the better performers under De Zerbi, so he'll play, no doubt about it.
Kevin Danso, right centre-back. We know that. Again, he was decent at Stamford Bridge. He's been decent since he's come in under Roberto De Zerbi after the Romero injury. Just no screw-ups, please, Danso. We can't afford it this game. We just cannot afford it.
Yeah, we know Everton likes to play a lot of long balls, don't they? And they did to Beto or Barry or whoever's up front. So I think Danso's going to have his head screwed on in this one, dealing with a lot of that. But it's going to be a big game for him.
I'm not worried about Danso in those. It's on the floor of where I worry about Danso a bit more. So he's going to relish those physical battles for sure. Left centre back is Mickey van der Ven, proclaimed as the best left centre back in the Premier League by Roberto De Zerbi coming into this game.
Is it true?
Well, you got him. You got Gabriel.
Guehi's been playing there for City.
Guehi.
I guess Van Dijk plays there for Liverpool.
I don't think he's the best left centre back in the Premier League.
Could he be though?
He could be the best. He could be the best left centre back in the Premier League. But he is going to be captain on the day.
Yeah.
Is he captain of the club now with Romero obviously never going to play again?
Unless Maddison's going to take that up. But I don't think they're going to announce a new captain.
No, they won't announce one, but is he like the unofficial new captain of the club?
I wouldn't necessarily say so. Obviously, he is in the leadership group and he's been vice captain. If Maddison had been fit and available to start, would he be captain?
Yeah, probably.
If Vicario was playing, would he be captain? I don't know. Who's been captain? I guess Van der Ven's been captain over Vicario sometimes, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So I guess Van der Ven would be ahead of him. But I don't know about Maddison.
Yeah, I think it would be Maddison, to be fair, if he was fit and available and playing from the start. Left back, Djed Spence. Could it be Djed Spence coming in, called up from Thomas Tuchel to the England World Cup squad? Or is he going to stick with Destiny Udogie, who he's gone with the last couple of games? I don't think he's been performing that well, Destiny, to be fair.
Yeah, I do think he'll stay with him, though, because I think... Look, I agree he's not been the best, but he had some good games, and then other games he's not been at his best level. I just think
really poor at Stamford Bridge.
Yeah, I think he'll keep with him though. I don't think he's going to want to change it too much, even though there's been some ups and downs there. I think him at left back is quite valuable to how we want to play, so I think he'll stick with him.
All right, Destiny Udogie at left back going into the midfield. Are we thinking João Palhinha retains his spot again? Bit of a poor performance at Stamford Bridge. Are we going to need more passes in there to break down this kind of Everton side, because we know how they play?
I would say maybe I would consider bringing Basuma back in, but Basuma hasn't played any minutes, has he, the last two games? Yeah. So is he now out of the plans? Is that the thought process? Paulinho, brilliant at Villa Park, and then Leeds and Chelsea, not so good. So there's definitely an opportunity to change it if he wants to. Hasn't been shouting about his love for Paulinho over the last two games. But I don't know if he wants to bring Basuma back in. So what are the other options? Is it Gray? He hasn't played at all over the last few games. Bergvall, could he drop Gallagher back? But then who do you play in the number 10? So I think he's probably just going to keep it for the last game with Bentancur, Paulinho. But maybe... Yeah, I think he will. He'll keep it. I don't see him changing it for the last few games.
Yeah, I think he will go with Paulinho, but someone in the comments makes a very good point, is remember Basuma in the Europa League final. And this is just as big as that. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
in these kind of
Palhinha
games, he
wasn't
has
up there,
stepped up for us, hasn't he? In the Europa League run, he was fantastic. When we really needed him, he stepped up for us. So is there a case that he could do the same in this game?
I, for one, think Bissouma's more suited to this game technically than Palhinha. I think I'm much more comfortable on the ball with Bissouma in this kind of game. Obviously, they do have such threats, you know, Dewsbury Hall and Dye in that midfield area who've been having great seasons. So you want also someone just patrolling it. But I would say how Everton play, I would probably rather Bissouma, to be honest. But I think he's going to go Palhinha.
There's Pape Sarr as well that we haven't spoken about.
I think Sarr could do that
I
role.
do think he's going to go for our Palhinha because I think he wants probably his most experienced heads in a game like this as well.
Yeah, I think he's just going to go with it. I know he hasn't been great, but at the end of the day, the last couple games, Leeds was probably a fair result, but we could have drawn that Chelsea game, and we know a draw in this result in this game is what works. So I think he's going to stick with it.
Alongside him, it will be Rodrigo Bentancur. Bentancur and Van de Ven have been the two most consistent performers under Roberto De Zerbi so far. I thought Van de Ven was one of our best players at Chelsea. He's been one of our best players pretty much every game since he's come back from injury, so there's no reason to second guess anything about him.
Yeah, he's definitely probably the first name on the team sheet at the moment, isn't he? So he'll definitely play.
In the number 10, I think it will be Conor Gallagher. I mean, we need more from Conor Gallagher. I know he had a great performance at Villa Park, but apart from that performance, I think he's flattered to deceive a little bit in the majority of games. I think off the ball, we know what he gives you, but he needs to give us more on the ball. But I think because of what he gives us off the ball, I think he still carries on.
Yeah, I think he's definitely going to start. Maybe the only other way he would start is playing in the middle instead of Palhinha, but I don't see any other option in the front line. So obviously he did put Sarr there, didn't he? And the last stage of Stamford Bridge, and he got an assist. So maybe that's something he'd consider, but I don't think he will. I think he's going to stick with Gallagher there. I think we know he's more of a goal threat from the Sarr, and we just need to see it a bit more. We need to see those energy levels up. We need to see him hanging and harassing, and hopefully we'll see a bit more of him, those late runs in the box, and something to show for it in the final third.
On the left-hand side of the attack, I think Matisse Tell.
Well, it's interesting because if we talk about, I thought De Zerbi's answer was very interesting. He was talking about Moani. So he was asked, what are your options? You know, on the right-hand side, a lot of people have been frustrated with Moani. What are your options? So he said, well, we could play Moani off the right and Tell off the left. You could also play Tell off the right and Maddison off the left. You could also play Tell off the right and Sarr off the left. You could also play Tell off the left and Sousa on the right. He said we could also play Tell off the left and Spence off the right. So he's going for a lot of different options, and the way he was speaking did kind of imply he is considering not starting Moani, which is obviously makes a lot of sense. Moani's been awful. He also said, I could start Moani off the wing or up front. So he did kind of add the option a bit later. But he said, we have to find solutions. We don't have many options, but with all the options we got to find solutions. Now, if he was going to start Moani, would the best response not have been, well, I've got Moani, he's my winger, and I'm going to play him, because that would give him the confidence. That would let him know he's playing. Yeah. Wouldn't that not have been the response? So the fact that he didn't respond like that, obviously maybe he's trying to keep Everton guessing. Yeah. Which is true, but he said it before, didn't he? Moani, I'm going to take him out for lunch and dinner, all this kind of stuff, and that was obviously giving the game away that he was going to start. So, but what he was trying to do is give him confidence and just play him into form. Obviously, that hasn't worked. I don't blame De Zerbi for that. I think it was probably the right thing to do to try and get something out of him, because if you can get something out of Moani, him being a natural winger and attacker, that's probably better than trying to hope getting something out of the other players who are not natural in those positions. Like Spence at his best, are you actually going to get more out of Spence at his best than Moani at his worst? In terms of goal output, you know what I mean? They're probably, both of them are not going to do anything. But if you can get more out of Moani, he's probably more likely to get a goal and assist than Spence or something like that. So I understand what he's tried, but it hasn't worked. So it's the last game. Judging by his response, I've got a feeling he might change it. He said, we could play Sousa like he did against Liverpool. He's kind of putting out a specific scenario there. So maybe he's thought about it. He's thought about Sousa. Spence, obviously, high on confidence now. He's in the England squad. Does he go with him? Does he go with what he's implied? Teloff, who finished the game off the right against Chelsea, put a Maddison or more likely maybe a Sarr. He didn't say Bergvall, by the way, which I thought was quite interesting.
He did mention Bergvall.
Did he?
Yeah, he did. He said I could play Bergvall.
Or Bergvall off the left. Yeah. So what do we think he's going to do? Because obviously it impacts what we do on the left. That's why I think it's better to have that conversation now. I think Tell will definitely start. It's whether he starts on the right or the left.
I think if he doesn't start Muani, I think he's starting Spence. I don't think he's going to start Bergvall on the wing, and I don't think he's going to start Sousa. Sousa hasn't had a minute under De Zerbi yet. I think Tell's definitely playing. It's either Muani or Spence on the right. I think Tell starts on the left.
You don't think he's really considering Sousa or Sarr or Bergvall?
Nah. Well, he might consider it, but I don't think he's what he's going to land on. I think he'll land on Tell on the left and one of Muani and Spence on the right-hand side. It might be Spence. It might be
the
Spence.
only thing with Spence is what he's tended to do late in games is take a doggy off and bring Spence on. Obviously, Spence is probably fit enough to play 90 minutes, so if need be, could he just bring Muani on and move Spence back? He could do that. But would he want a fresh Spence coming off the bench if in that scenario, or is he happy to have a tiring Spence move to fullback?
Look, I think Spence, he could play. I mean, he hasn't played too much football over the past month, so I don't think that's an issue. He should have more, and he's got good stamina at the best of times anyway. So I don't think that's too much of an issue. I think Spence is fine to play 90 minutes at high levels. One
thing that you do get with Spence playing right wing is that hopefully that means they're not going to get much joy like with Ndai down that left-hand side, which is a worry. You know, he's their main
help
threat.
Out Porro a lot.
He'll help out Porro, and all we have to do at the end of the day, if we keep a clean sheet, we stay up.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
All right, let's go for Spence.
If that means a bit of
I prefer to see Spence, to be honest.
If you sting the place out a little bit, obviously, hopefully he's a bit of a threat down the right. I don't envisage...
He is a threat, though. He is a threat. He's definitely a threat with his pacing behind.
Yeah, but just like Muani's a threat with his pacing behind, what's at the end of it? That's always been the problem.
Yeah.
So I don't.
I actually think Spence has probably shown a bit more quality than Muani has.
I mean, I don't see it being different, to be honest. I don't see Spence turning into some great winger who's going to provide the threat.
He's not going to be some great winger, but at least, you know, when we played him at let's say, left wing against Dortmund, yeah, fine. Maybe the final ball wasn't great, but he still got in those positions a lot. Like Muani against Chelsea, he never even got in those positions.
No, he did.
I don't think he did. I thought he lost the ball.
He played that 1-2 and got in behind Cucurella. He had it
once.
No, if you watch...
Like against Dortmund, Spence was doing it consistently.
I read a stat, he completed more dribbles in that first half than all the Chelsea players combined.
Well, that's got to be some sort of Scoot stat because he was shocking.
I'm not saying he played well. Doesn't mean he played well. My point is he got in the positions. That's what I'm saying.
I don't even think he got in the positions.
He did.
Man.
He just didn't have he wasn't good enough.
I felt, watching the game, I didn't look at any of the stats on Muani, but looking at the game, it felt like he failed to take on his man. He lost the ball the majority every time, and every time it got to him, a move broke down, apart from maybe once. So I think when Spence played on the wing against Dortmund, we actually created quite a lot with him on the left-hand side.
Yeah. Look, I'm in favour of it. I'm just saying don't expect like things to really change going forward. What it'll do is maybe to make us better as a team defensively and make sure we're shutting down Ndai. Maybe he offers a bit of threat. I don't envisage him.
Let's go for Spence.
Crosses, but I do think
I've got
a feeling he will go for Djed.
Let's go for Djed right wing and Tell left wing.
Tell left wing. Yep. And hopefully Tell. The thing is with Tell, look, we know he frustrates, but all we need to do is come up with one moment. He did it against Leeds. I know he gave it away, but if he can come up with one moment, that's all we're asking for, and it could be the difference.
You never know what confidence can do for a man as well. Riding high off that England call-up. Well, I mean, apparently he knew apart from March he was going to get this England call-up, but still, the squad's been named. He's been in it. You never know what that can do for someone. And the reality is with Djed Spence, right, we brought him in to be an attacking fullback. It hasn't really worked out. He's been more of a defensive fullback because of his one-on-one defending. But for Nottingham Forest, that's what he was good at. He was good at getting goal contributions.
Yeah, he got a few. I remember he scored one of that 30-yarder once for Forest. I don't think he was like known as
I remember when he played against Arsenal in that cup game, he had the fullback on toast, man.
Obviously, he's fast and he's good at taking people on, but I don't think he's ever had brilliant delivery or anything like that. That's not what I remember of Spence. And I don't think he's ever proven that at Tottenham, unfortunately.
I bet you he'll make more of an impact than Muani.
Let's hope so. I think he could have a better impact on the team. I think he'll keep the ball better, for one. I don't know if he'll be taking people on as much to a good effect, but I think just keeping the ball better would make a difference,
and defending from the front as well,
defensively and defending from the front. So I think all those things could help.
Up front, he has said Solanke is back, available and fit. Is he going to start or is he going to go back to Richarlison? I think what Richarlison brings you is sheer work rate. He hasn't been great, let's be honest. He hasn't been great, but he has put the ball in the back of the net a couple of times.
How many goals? Yeah, 2 goals under De Zerbi.
2 goals under De Zerbi, exactly. So look, he has missed his fair share of chances as well. That's got to be said. But
what striker doesn't, eh?
Yeah, I think he sticks with Richarlison.
I think in a perfect world, you probably do want Solanke starting and then Rishi coming on if need be, you know, late in games to get a goal if you need it, kind of thing. That's probably what you want. But unfortunately, we're not in a perfect scenario, are we? And Solanke probably needs his minutes managed. And how much can he actually play? Can he play more than 45 minutes to half an hour? The fact that he's saying maybe he'll start implies that maybe he can play that amount, but I don't think he'll start. I think he's going to be a sub. But I do think Rishi's probably a better impact sub than Solanke is. So
yeah,
I'd rather start Solanke if I can, but I don't think we will.
Nah, I think he'll start Richie. I mean, with Solanke not even being on the bench on Tuesday night, I think that probably tells you everything you need to know about his fitness. So, look, good option to have off the bench, Solanke. We need all the bodies that we can get. He could definitely make an impact. And you're looking at the bench, if this is the team going into it, you've got 2 natural strikers on the bench, which we haven't had for a long time. So
2?
Yeah, with Moani.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
So, look, there are options off the bench to change it. And you never know, Moani could actually have more of an impact off the bench than he could.
Did at Anfield, didn't he? I don't think he started at Anfield, did he? And then because Sousa started,
yeah.
And then he came off and got a great assist. So maybe.
Yeah. So that is the predicted lineup that we are going for. Kinski in goal. We've got Porro right back, Udogie left back, Van der Ven and Danso as the back 2. Paulinia, Bentancur and Gallagher in the midfield. Djed Spence off the right, Tell off the left, and Richarlison up top. So I think of the last 2 predicted lineups, we've gone for unchanged. So the only change that we've gone for here is Spence over Kolo Muani. So let us know what you think about that. And yeah, let's just move swiftly on into the match preview. I can't stress, guys, how important this game is. You guys know it. You don't need me to say it. We know the permutations going into this. A draw keeps us up, regardless what happens at West Ham. However, if we lose this game, we just can't have West Ham winning. If West Ham win and we lose, that's the only way that we go down on the final day. Knowing Spurs, I mean, I don't even want to say it. Knowing Spurs, they are going to make us sweat. They will make us sweat because that's what we do. We never do things easy at Spurs. If we did things easy, we'd be home and hosed by now. You know, we wouldn't have conceded that last-minute goal at Brighton. We would have held on against Leeds. We would have got the draw that we needed at Chelsea. We didn't do any of those. So we're not going to get any help from the ref, so we can't count on that. So we need to do the job ourselves, and we need to forget the referees, forget what's going on at West Ham, just focus on what we need to focus on and get the job done, guys.
100%. That's the message that De Zerbi is pumping out. You know, we're going to concentrate on winning. We're going to concentrate on ourselves. You deal with that, you'll get the job done. It will be, for the fans, it's going to be a day full of nerves, full of anxiety. We're going to be obviously checking and listening into what's going on at West Ham and, you know, following every update, you know, very closely. And if West Ham concede or if they start losing whatever, that will be obviously a big sigh of relief. But for me, we just got to concentrate on ourselves. I do think we have been better at home since De Zerbi's come in. Only it has been 2 games, but obviously the form at home was that bad. It wasn't that hard to improve on it, was it? But I do think, you know, considering our last home game before De Zerbi came in was Forest, wasn't it? And that was an absolute disaster. 3-0 and just no energy. And it was just so easy for Forest, even though at times we were on top of them. It was just so easy for them to create chances and score goals when they needed to, and that has kind of been stopped under De Zerbi. We've made it a lot more difficult now for opponents to be creating chances, a lot more difficult. They really have to work hard now for their chances, whereas before we were just like all over the place and lethargic and whatever. So I think that is a positive. I think our home form, despite the fact we haven't won one in the 2 games, there's been a pathway to winning them. Whereas I felt like before De Zerbi, we deservedly got beaten in every game, and we were terrible all over the place, conceding lots of chances left, right, and centre. Remember the defending at home to Arsenal. Like some of the goals, Eze just waltzing into our penalty area, nowhere near him, and scoring and tapping goals. Gyökeres 1-on-1 with Gray and just firing at home. Look at the goals that Gibbs White scored completely free in the box. No one near him.
Then, it was very reactive defending. We were just letting teams just shoot on the edge of our box. We were just waiting, waiting for players to come at us. Now it's very proactive defending. Van der Ven stepping out, Danso stepping out, Porro, It's very proactive, and I'm liking what I'm seeing from the structure of the team. And look, whatever you want to say about our home form, I know we haven't won one, but De Zerbi has not lost a home game yet. And we've played two very good teams in Brighton and Leeds, both on good form at that moment in time. So I think it bodes well going into this game. We were speaking to the West Ham boys yesterday, and I was saying to them, like, if I could pick one of Everton at home or Leeds at home, I much prefer to play Everton right now. Everton are on shocking form. They haven't won a game since the back end of March. That's a long time. How many games is that actually that they haven't won a game in? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 or 7 games that they haven't won a game in. I know what everyone's going to say is Dr. Tottenham, and there's no better place that you want to go to without a win than the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. That's right, and we've seen that all season. But under De Zerbi, we've been a much more solid outfit. And I trust it that we can get through this game without losing. I really do. Yeah,
and look, they haven't won away from home since February. I was a last-minute winner away at Newcastle as well. So their away form which was very impressive at points, has dropped off. They did even lose to West Ham away from home not so long ago, which was not a great result. Callum Wilson scoring the winner. So I think if we're facing a team who haven't won in a while, that all we have to do is avoid defeat. I think hopefully Everton will be, willing participants. I saw their game against Sunderland last week, when they were 1-0 up and they just ran out of energy. And a team like Sunderland, who were just not that great at going forward, if they're ripping you apart like they did Everton, there's something a bit off at the moment.
We did see Jordan Pickford and Jack Grealish stumble out of a taxi at like 4 a.m. So does that suggest where the team is at right now? And that's kind of like on the beach.
Which we know their chances of Europe are pretty much nil at the moment. A win puts them level with 8th, but they would have to also beat Newcastle, Sunderland and Brentford to get there. So they know they're not going to be playing in Europe next season. It's going to be, their chances are pretty much nothing. So they're not playing for much. But David Moyes has said before the game they are taking this game very seriously. He would love nothing more but to help his former team West Ham stay in the Premier League and give them a helping hand. So he's there. I don't think he take anything for granted. And the way Moyes sets up his team, they can be hard to beat and they can be difficult to play against. And also what we do know is once they do take a lead, it can be hard to break them down and get back in the game. And that's something I'm worried about because we are so reactive to game state. Sorry. We watched De Zerbi. I watched him do an interview with Tottenham, the Tottenham social media team last week. Something that really stuck with me, what he said, which is so true. He just said the big problem with us at the moment is we are just so reactive to what happens. If we score, our confidence is like this and we're over the moon and we're, with Javi, 15 minutes to go, is running into the crowd like we won the league and everything, right? Taking his shirt off. When we concede, it's like
very emotional.
Exactly, so emotional. We're down and like it's over for us, even though we concede with lots of time left. Everyone's on the floor and depressed when we concede. And he said the goal is we need to get to a neutral kind of, if we concede or we score, we need to keep trusting in ourselves, trusting the way we play and believe in ourselves that whatever happens, things, nothing is certain. We can still change the outcome. And that is just something very evident in this team. We are so true. Reactive to what happens in the game.
We've reactive said it time to game state again, haven't we? We've said it time and time again. Like, you don't need De Zerbi to tell us that for us to know that. We know that every time we concede, for the next 20 minutes, 30 minutes, we look out on our feet. We can't make passes. We can't press properly. We panic. That's happened every single game. Every game that we've gone 1 down under De Zerbi, or that we've even conceded against under De Zerbi, we've been terrible for the next 20, 30 minutes. But when we score, we look confident and we look like that we can do something. So that's why we say every single game going into it, the first goal is so vital. If we score the first goal on Sunday, I'm sure we're going to go and win the game. I really do. If we
can for sure not lose.
Yeah, but I call a draw winning the game this weekend. If we concede first, it's in the hands of the gods. We ain't going to win that game if we concede first,
because we haven't. we have an all season. That's what the stats bear out. We have a 0% win rate when we've gone behind. So to suggest in this game of all games it's going to happen, look, it could happen. But I'm just saying to rely on that or think that that's something you want that you want to trust that we can do is not something I want to do. I think we can't. If I think it gets scary. What if we do concede the first goal, and if West Ham are winning or even drawing at that point, and them knowing that a goal puts them outside the relegation zone, then all of a sudden it gets very, very scary, and all of a sudden you're thinking we are in big trouble. If at any point we are behind, then I think psychologically that's going to be a lot to handle for these players. And I think that's the big worry going into this game is the psychological element, the anxiety, the nerves of the players, even from the fans transmitting to the players, all of that. That is something that we haven't dealt with well at all throughout the season, and even when De Zerbi's been there, we just haven't dealt with it. The only ways we've done well was obviously the Wolves game we won, but the Villa game we went up very early, and all of a sudden we had that confidence. Against Brighton, we scored quite well. We scored in the first half, and that obviously gave us confidence throughout the game that we're very much in that game. Whenever we've gone behind or whenever we've been really struggling, it's been really hard for us to turn that around. And Wolves, you can say it, but we didn't play well that game. We did get that goal late on, and we did well to just mentally stay in the game, but we were also playing the worst side in the league. So you got to say that. It's just something that we've struggled with all season, and De Zerbi's spotted it. Hopefully the problem, what the problem with that is? It's not something you can just rectify very quickly. It's not something you can rectify like with one game to spare, you know what I mean? That's something that takes a long time to fix.
It's because of everything that the team have been through this season under Thomas Frank.
That's something you need a pre-season to get out the players.
100%.
And when you need a reset for that.
That's why we just need to get past this game, and I think we can actually look forward. What plays a massive part are the fans. I do say it every week, but I think this game more than ever, particularly with the first goal, as much as the team look nervy if we don't get that early goal going into the second half 0-0, the fans also get very nervy. We saw against Brighton, we got that early goal. We scored in the first half and there was unwavering support until the end. Against Leeds, I felt because it was 0-0 for such a long time, the whole first half, we scored early in the second half, I felt like those nerves started to filter into the fans, and that kind of filtered onto the pitch a little bit. So the fans got a massive part to play this weekend.
Well, De Zerbi scored on us. There will be, I'm sure, will be probably just as big, or
surely bigger.
Bigger than the Forest one.
This is it.
I think, look, if De Zerbi's calling for it, if that's what he thinks the players want or need, I think that's a good thing.
Do you think it's what the players want or need? Because obviously we did it against Forest and it didn't work in our favour.
But we haven't done it under De Zerbi yet.
Yeah, you never know, though. Against Forest, it's not like we were horrific in the first half. It's just like we conceded one goal and then fell apart like we always do. But in the first half, if we would have got that first goal, we could have scored that first goal. You never know what could have happened.
I think, obviously, the place we were in as a team, we're not in a massive different place now, but just that under Tudor, we looked lost. We looked all over the place. As soon as we conceded, we lost belief. But if you do remember, as you say, before we conceded, we were the better team. I'm not saying it's because of the fans. I'm just saying that's the reality of that game. And once we conceded in the second half, we completely fell apart.
I think it was, an element of it was the fans, because the fans were incredible in that first half against Nottingham Forest. The electric atmosphere from the kickoff. And I think the players definitely thrived off that at the beginning of that game. But once this team concedes, everything goes out the window.
No, I just think the players need to feel that even though the season has been dreadful and has been an absolute disaster, even though there's a lot of broken trust between the club and the fans, even though there's a lot to complain about, for this day, right now, on Sunday, we are behind them. We are fully behind them. We're backing them to get us out of this mess, and then we can draw a line under the season and move forward next season and completely forget about what's happened. Not forget, but try and learn the lessons of what's happened and move on from it. But for this day, for one day at the very least, until the end of the season, we know how much survival matters. We know that this is a massive ramifications for the future of our club. So if we can give every ounce of support we can, we are behind them. We are not here to break them. We're not here to criticise them. We're not here to complain about misplaced passes. We're not here to tell them how shit they are and how shit they've been for this whole season. We're here to back them and support them and believe in them. And that's the message we send out on that day before the game, showing all the support for the coach coming in. I think that's what the message it sends to them.
Yeah, and that's exactly what needs to happen. It's got to be an electric atmosphere. We've got to treat this as what it is. The biggest game in recent history. You saw the fans what they're like in Bilbao. You saw what they're like in the Bodo home game. This has got to be that, but times 10, literally. Like, they need all the support they can get. We need to thrive off it. You saw in the Bodo game all the atmosphere going into it, and bang, we scored in the first few minutes, and we never looked back. So we just need to keep supporting people.
So obviously we know there's going to be the other game going on simultaneously. That's how the final day works. Every game kicks off at 4 p.m.
Yeah.
How much do you, obviously De Zerbi says, we need to block out everything in our mind from what's going out. First of all, do you think De Zerbi himself will be following what's going on at West Ham? And as well, do you think how much of an effect will crowd reactions to what's going on at West Ham have an effect on what's going on our pitch, do you think?
I think it could have a major impact. Like, if West Ham score, it could be like Spurs conceding a goal. But look, I think
also the Everton fans, because obviously we're not going to have a major reaction if West Ham score, but the Everton fans are going to let us know, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, there'll be moans and groans. They'll know. Everyone will know.
Well, the Everton fans will be cheering, like the Wolves.
Yeah,
Wolves fans
100%. The Everton fans will be cheering, but you'll also notice it from the home end, because suddenly you'll probably hear from loud singing to moans and groans. You know what I mean? So there'll definitely be an atmosphere in the stadium with, regardless if De Zerbi's following it on his own, he'll know. The players will know what is going on at West Ham, regardless. So I don't think De Zerbi will be following it. I don't. I think he'll just know from the fan reaction what's going on.
What's interesting is the only way to combat that is if we're winning our game.
It doesn't matter.
Then it doesn't matter. Think about it. If we're winning like 2-0 or something, there's not going to be cheering if West Ham concede. No one's going to care. It's going to be, we're focusing on our team and we're cheering on our team. No, but if we're losing or drawing, all of a sudden it makes a major effect, doesn't it? What's going on, and all of a sudden you're going to hear the reactions, and it's going to be very, very interesting. Obviously, when it comes down to this last day, these dramatic moments, we've had it. I said in the Molineux, I had like a final day feel to that when we were cheering, and then the Wolves fans cheering, what that West Ham school, all that kind of stuff. But I hope it doesn't come down to that. But
how do you think it all plays out?
I've got a feeling it's very nervy for both teams. I think we both win, and I think we both win in very Well, I think West Ham win their game 1-0. They score in the first half. They get the goal. They shut up shop and see out the game and win 1-0 and just win that game. I think for us, I just got a feeling it's going to be very nervy. It's going to be like 0-0 going to halftime. We're going to have a lot of the ball without doing much. Everton are going to be sitting off. We're going to be stopping their counters, but we're going to be failing to break them down. It's going to be 0-0. But we're going to have that knowledge in that second half that West Ham are winning. And it's going to be very, very nervy. And then I've got a feeling we're just going to find a moment. We're going to get a goal when maybe Richarlison or whatever, maybe someone off the bench. Maybe Maddison comes on and does something. And there'll be a massive sigh of relief. We'll get a goal with 10 minutes to go. And then we'll defend and just see out the game 1-0. I've got a feeling we both win the game 1-0 in very, very nervy moments. But we make it.
Who's going to score first?
West Ham.
Yeah. I feel like West Ham will go 1-0 up early. And then Spurs will go 1-0 up at some point, maybe in the latter stage or the beginning of the second half at some point. And then I feel Spurs might concede late. And it's going to make it a scramble for Spurs. But we'll see it through the last few minutes. I think we're going to draw 1-1. And I think the last few minutes of the game is just going to be fucking mad. But yeah, I mean, I was saying yesterday and I was saying the last few days, I think Leeds do get something at West Ham. I still think they do. I just can't see Leeds losing. I think Leeds have been on such great form. I think Leeds will get a result. I think it's going to be 1-1 at Leeds. I think they're going to equalise. And I think it's going to be 1-1.
What's possible is I see a possibility is they go 1-0 up and then they're holding out hope for us. And I think if we go 1-0 up in the second half, that filters to West Ham. They start to be on a bit of a downer, and then Leeds equalise late in that game and just kills it off anyway.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think both of us go 1-0 up. West Ham go 1-0 up first, then Spurs go 1-0 up. Then Spurs concede, maybe 15 minutes to go. And then I think towards the last 5 minutes, West Ham might concede. I think both of us draw 1-1.
I think if West Ham are hearing that we're not winning, I don't think they concede. But if they hear we are winning, I think their heads will drop a bit. and then all of a sudden they might concede a goal. That's how I say it. But I'm going to go for a 1-0 for both teams.
Yeah, I'm going to go for 1-1 for both teams. I think both teams draw. Let us know your score prediction in the comment section below. But guys,
let the drama commence.
It is going to be crazy on Sunday. It's somewhere that I'd never thought I'd be. It's somewhere that I never want to be again. So regardless of what happens on Sunday, let's just make sure we're never in this situation again. And regardless of what happens on Sunday, if you're going to the game, make your feelings heard towards the board at the end of the game. Support the team to the fullest during the game, before the game. Make sure your support is felt. But then as equally, make sure your voices are heard towards that board, because they are the reason we're in this mess. And they are the reason we'll carry on being in this mess if something doesn't change dramatically very soon. If we go down, these guys have blood on their two 17th places in a row.
It's ridiculous,
you know what I mean? Even that is something I never imagined that this club would be in. So regardless of what happens, these owners need to be held accountable. The fans need to stay in their seats and let their feelings known after the game. There'll probably be the players going around the pitch, clap the players as they go past you. But as soon as they go past you, make your feeling known toward that board, because this is our last chance to do so. This is the last game of the season.
Yeah.
So I think we've done the right thing. We've supported the team up until this point. But as the final whistle goes, it's time to focus on those guys upstairs, because they are not fit for purpose. They've shown they're not fit for purpose. And this is the reason we're in this position. So there we go. There we go. That is it from us today. Sim and Marlon in this watch along. They're going to be going through the ups and the downs.
We'll have the West Ham game on. We're going to have the Spurs game on. It's going to be dramatic. So tune in.
And I'll be at the game. God, I'll be at the game, and obviously I'll be bringing you all the reaction from inside the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, which is going to be a very emotional time. But guys, let's just do this, people. Come on, we can't go down. It can't happen. These guys are used to it. West Ham, they're up, they're down, they're left, they're right. We don't go down. We've never been relegated from the Premier League. We don't know what it's like to be in this position. And let's hope we never know what it's like ever again. But come on, you Spurs. Let's do the business this weekend. Biggest game in recent history. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always,
come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.